Hey guys, I'm Anna.
And I'm Brian.
And we are
Those Annoying Vegans. Today we have another response video. This time we are responding to a video that we agree with because I think it's just wonderful, with all of the anti-vegan content that there is on YouTube. It's wonderful when celebrities use their platform and speak up for the victims. And we wanted to show you guys a video that we're sure you've probably at least seen clips of it floating around Instagram and probably YouTube. This is from Real Time with Bill Maher. He has a segment on his show called New Rule, and his show is typically about politics, but he has a new Rule segment called America's Wet Markets.
And as you guys know, the wet markets in Wuhan, China, have been specifically rumored to have been the source of the coronavirus due to the unsanitary conditions and the cross-contamination between species and with humans. So Bill Maher talks a little bit about that in this video. So we're gonna go ahead and comment on it as we go.
And finally, new rule, stop trying to get me to watch Tiger King. It's not gonna happen. I already have to watch one bottle blonde from reality TV. And the other reason I'm not watching Tiger King while sequestering, because torturing animals is what got us into this mess. That's the lesson we keep refusing to learn, that you can't trash the environment, including animals.
Because animals are part of the environment.
Yes.
See, so when people say that they are vegan for the environment,
yes,
you can't necessarily pluck out the animals. The animals are the environment.
They're part of the environment. And I like too that right there he's acknowledging like keeping exotic animals caged up for your entertainment is a form of animal torture, which is an amazing piece of activism right there. I mean, this is what we do to cows, pigs, and chickens all day long.
Yeah.
We keep them in cages.
And not have it come back and kill you. 2 weeks ago, I called out China for reopening their wet markets, and miraculously, people from both sides of the aisle reached out to say, good for you for saying that. Well, here's another hot take that may not be as popular. America's factory farming is just as despicable as a wet market and just as problematic for our health.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Talk about someone using their platform to deliver a very controversial message. Although I have to say not as controversial, because people do tend, most people, vegan and not vegan, tend to agree that factory farming is the wrong way to go about feeding the billions of people on this planet.
Yeah, a lot of lip service paid to, of course, factory farming is wrong. Factory farming is horrible. I'll have a number 2 with extra mayo. Factory farming is a despicable practice.
We need to change the way we do things.
I'm going to have a 12-piece bucket. It's double speak.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, of course factory farming is bad. Well, factory farming is well over 90% of animal products.
And by the way, as we have said before numerous times, factory farming was the solution to feeding the billions of human inhabitants of this planet. I don't know what people think when they say, let's go back to the way it used to be. What?
When people ate way less meat than they eat now?
Yeah.
I mean,
this all depends on you guys.
It's demand. Demand informs supply. Supply and demand. They work together, so people have demanded animal products at every meal, and they want them as cheap as possible.
Factory farms have a lot more lobbyists, but ecological time bombs tick the same. Americans should not get too high and mighty about wet markets while we are doing this.
Same logic applies to when people speak up about the Yulin Festival. They're like, well, if you're upset about dogs and cats being tortured, burned, skinned alive for people's taste buds across the ocean over there, you should be upset about the pigs and cows and chickens that we torture on this side of the world. Each culture has its preferences, but just because the culture changes doesn't mean that the suffering is different.
And right here, I mean, I know this show's on HBO. I believe it's an HBO show, so it's not like ABC, like network. He's showing images of factory farms on a mainstream show that a lot of people watch.
Yeah.
Like, I know this is going to trigger the out of so many meteors, and this is on an HBO show. It's like incredible. Usually to find these images of factory farms, you got to go to like independent documentaries, or you have to look for footage from hidden cameras and stuff, because you're not allowed to go in factory farms and take these photos. And he's sharing them on his platform. Just amazing vegan activism.
Most, if not all, infectious diseases are zoonotic, meaning they start in animals and jump to humans. AIDS likely came from primates. Someone butchered a monkey or fucked one or something they shouldn't have been doing with a monkey. Mad cow came from cattle, eating cattle, which is like feeding a chicken an omelet. Just 2 weeks ago, a fatal strain of bird flu was confirmed in a commercial turkey flock in South Carolina. Now, to thwart the coronavirus, we've been told to create distance, avoid others who are sick, lower stress, and exercise. Are you surprised that diseases flourish among animals when they're forced to live in conditions that are the complete opposite of all of that? They're on top of each other, they can't move, they're stressed out. I've seen airports treat luggage better than we treat animals.
Woo! That's a slow clap for Bill Maher. That's great. I've seen airports treat luggage better than we treat animals, which is true if you have ever been to a vigil or you've ever seen footage of farmers loading chickens or offloading chickens. They treat them worse than handbags.
They grab them by the wings, by the legs, they throw them, they stuff them. These are very small compartments. At least the trucks that we've seen here in California, there's about 20 crates per truck, because it'll be like 10 across and then a second set up top.
Yeah,
and each of them
like
have multiple
9
levels.
inches high.
Yeah.
It's like
they can't even stand upright.
I mean, it's incredible. And see, the thing is that we're not sure if Bill Maher is actually vegan. Previously on his show, he had said things like this.
You don't eat any meat.
Well, I'm a lazy vegetarian, I like to say.
What is a lazy vegetarian? I think we're the same kind.
At times,
it's 3 in the morning and all they've got is a room service hamburger.
Well,
you're going to go for it. You've had 6 drinks, you're going to have a hamburger.
If I go to your house and I know you don't serve steak, but for some reason you're serving steak,
right?
I'll feel like, well, the animal's been killed.
You give yourself permission.
I would rather eat it than waste it.
Right.
That's me.
Wow. I see this week eggs are okay again.
Yeah, right.
Don't,
Well, every once
don't you
in a
love
while.
that?
We never stop eating them.
Yeah, I never did either, because I was saying that last week. They love to demonize it.
Well,
cholesterol. We got to stay out of the sun and get a cholesterol.
Eat pastured eggs.
Eat what?
Eat eggs that are like from chickens that are walking
Sure.
around out on the grass. So you're going to eat good eggs.
Which, of course, is not a vegan message. But this video is 1,000% delivering a vegan message. So I hope that maybe Bill Maher's thoughts and opinions and his outlook has changed.
Or is changing. Maybe.
Changing.
I mean, he is putting out this message, so in a way, he's going to have to own up to that message and align his actions with his values. If he goes over a friend's house and he is served a slab of meat, what's he going to say now?
And I think it's powerful. It's powerful coming from a person with this platform to say no. And the reason, that's the other thing, the reason. This is what we always encourage people. If you're new to activism, it can be scary to tell your friends, tell your family. I had a very uncomfortable conversation with a very good friend of mine where I asked him to please not eat the hamburger that he had just ordered in front of me. And he didn't. He boxed it up and took it home later. It's important to let them know why. Why you're opposing this.
And they might not like it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable to feel that your values have parted ways and that their actions are deemed not ethical. We also had another experience where we were invited to a Thanksgiving dinner, and instead of turning it down and coming up with an excuse, we said why. We said we do not want to be around dead animals for Thanksgiving.
So while you can abstain from going to these events and make up whatever excuse you want, I think it is very powerful to let your friends, let your family, let the world know why you're choosing to abstain. And we hope Bill Maher does the same.
Egg-laying hens are starved and given no water for weeks to shock their bodies into molting. Beaks of chickens are removed. I could go on. Have you ever driven by a high-density feedlot? Yeesh. To get relief from the stench, you have to stick your nose in an egg salad sandwich. If you think the market in Wuhan is gross, you should visit one of our giant poultry processing factories. But of course you can't, because we have ag-gag laws that make it a crime to report the crime.
Isn't that funny? We have to say, though, now I think we're down to just a few states with ag-gag laws.
Yeah, they're slowly going away.
How strange that you could get criminalized for, like you said, reporting a crime. How does that make sense? How does it make sense to show people where their food comes from?
And then get punished for it.
And it is a crime of animal abuse that goes on in our food industry. Wow. You're worried that the mailman is coronavirus? 80% of pigs have pneumonia when they're slaughtered because we make them live in conditions that would make a zombie vomit, and then, so they don't die before we kill them, pump them full of antibiotics that in turn get passed on to humans. That in turn leads to antibiotic-resistant diseases that in turn leads to us dying from ever-evolving contagions. It's 6 degrees of tainted bacon.
Oh, we've seen that for ourselves. When we've held vigil for the chickens, in the winter time especially, in the summertime, a lot of them die from the heat, but in the winter time, a lot of them are experiencing respiratory infections. You can hear the gurgling in their lungs. Their eyes are burnt from the ammonia.
Many of them still arrive dead and cold. Their bodies are very stiff.
Broken wings,
broken legs, dislocated hips. It's very common for chickens to have heart attacks. If you saw our recent review of Super Size Me 2, you'll see the farmers say it's perfectly normal for 6-week-old chickens to suffer from a heart attack. If they're not having heart attacks, then something's wrong because they're not growing fast enough. So we know that the way that we have bred these animals is causing them suffering. And we keep doing it.
We're on the cusp of returning to a pre-antibiotic era where strep throat was a death sentence. Let me put it as basically as I can. If we keep producing food the way we do, you're going to get sick with something medicine cannot fix. You don't have to care for the sake of the animals. I wouldn't want to mess with anyone's reputation as a heartless asshole.
Wow.
Yeah, he's kind of doing a little like, I don't know if it's like an Ellen DeGeneres, like the saving face thing that a lot of celebrities do.
Although he's being sarcastic at the same time.
Yes.
So that
many celebrities,
like, you don't have to care about animals, but then you're an asshole.
Because we wouldn't want you to not be an asshole. Yeah, I think Natalie Portman did this in an interview. A lot of the times it's celebrities who are vegan, they live a vegan lifestyle, but they don't want to seem like they're imposing anything, or they don't want to.
Or judging.
We're not judging. We're not shaming. I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. If you honestly believe that what we're doing to these animals is animal abuse, you should stand up against it. If you stand against dog abuse, you wouldn't just tolerate someone beating their dog. So why are you tolerating the abuse that takes place against pigs, cows, and chickens?
Yes. Never be afraid to speak up for the animals, for the victims.
But do it because animal cruelty leads to human catastrophe.
Yes, as we've said, exploiting animals is the source of many of our ailments, health ailments and environmental ailments. But it is because we've been exploiting animals. That is why veganism is about the animals first and foremost. When we stop exploiting animals, we stop seeing these issues.
I would push back a little bit on this point, however, and say that no moral person would say, like, listen, you don't have to oppose slavery because it's wrong to enslave people. It's just really bad for the economy. We can have a much more successful economy if we end slavery and allow, businesses to compete with one another rather than the slavery thing. It's really damaging to the economy. You would never argue that. You would say, no, this is wrong. These are sentient living beings and they don't deserve to be enslaved. Well, cows, pigs, and chickens are sentient living beings and they don't deserve to be enslaved.
Do it because barbecue is why you've been masturbating for a month. And get the fuck away from me with Tiger King. I don't care that he sees the light at the end. So did Darth Vader. There's no such thing as keeping a wild animal pent up, but treating them well. Just ask Siegfried and What Remains of Roy. Joe Exotic is in prison partly for killing 5 endangered tigers, which are endangered because of people like him. I don't get why the woke left loves this show so much and isn't on this guy like pink sequins. People should take their meandering outrage and focus it on this issue. You keep animals in cages, be they tigers or turkeys, and look who winds up being the prisoner.
That is our favorite quote from that film. It's true. People love to call out, people like Joe, but they don't look at their own actions. They don't sit down and reflect on how are they also contributing to cruelty.
It's really simple. If everyone just simply tried their absolute best as far as what's possible and practicable to live by a do no harm mentality. Why are animals endangered? Usually because humans are f***ing with them in some way. We're destroying their habitat, we're hunting them, we're clearing land, we're controlling the population, we want to cut off a body part of theirs so that we can ingest it for reasons that make zero sense. It's usually us that's the problem. We cause all of these things. So why do we want to eat chicken? Well, we just like the way it tastes. Okay, you don't have to kill a chicken to enjoy the taste of salt and garlic and lemon and herb and black pepper. Do no harm. It is very hypocritical the way people look at shows like Tiger King. We watched like, what, 1 or 2 episodes?
Yeah.
It was confusing because you had like 2 tiger sanctuaries and each of them had a problem with each other.
Well, one of them labeled themselves as a sanctuary. I'm not sure what the difference was because it was still sort of treated like an amusement park. Yeah. They still admitted people and it was the same sort of, maybe not as interactive as Joe's. We haven't finished watching it, so we don't know what ended up happening. I think we'll probably finish watching it later.
I mean, these are exotic animals that don't deserve to be caged up somewhere in the United States.
Yeah, they don't belong here.
We have sanctuaries for farmed animals because there are billions of farm animals being bred into existence every day, and every time we get a chance to save just one, we need some place to take them where they will be cared for. What it seems like from what we've seen is that people want to keep breeding these animals.
Yeah.
And then you need a place for them. Well, how do we get there? Well, we bred them.
There are sanctuaries out there that rehabilitate these animals and re-release them back into the wild. But breeding these animals and keeping them for entertainment purposes, for your social media, for whatever personal interests you may have is wrong.
I mean, we go grab animals from all over the planet and we put them in zoos so that people can pay an admission ticket to go look at an animal.
Yeah. You know how I watch
cage,
animals?
like,
on National Geographic, on Planet Earth, what have you.
Again, that's like this giant hubris. Like, I live in Indiana and I deserve the right to be able to see a polar bear. Maybe not. You live in Indiana. I live in California. I expect 0 polar bears and 0 penguins in this entire state. That's what I fully expect.
So this video has a significant number of likes over dislikes. A lot of people seem to agree. Someone said, nah, Americans won't agree, their actions are the problem.
That's true.
I think that goes for most people, not
for
just
most people,
Americans.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a human thing.
A lot of people really like this video.
Someone said, I'm not a big fan of Bill Maher, but that may be changing. This piece is terrific, literally.
Thank you for speaking up for the animals.
Yeah.
Wow, someone else that hasn't watched Tiger King. That's basically it, guys. We just wanted to share with you this excellent piece of vegan activism from Bill Maher, who may or may not be vegan. We're still not sure.
He is definitely a vegan ally.
That's true.
And an advocate.
And he's spreading a vegan message.
And we need those people.
To a very large audience. He has, almost 2 million subs on his channel, I think. The Real Time with Bill Maher, 1.86 million subs.
And this video nearly has 1 million. It's in the early 900,000s still. So it'll probably get over 1 million.
And it just came out on the 24th. So this is a great piece of vegan activism, great way to stand up for the animals. And I know we normally respond to people who do not support a vegan lifestyle, but this was one instance where we felt like
we needed to
share this.
Share it. So thanks for watching, guys. We hope you also felt inspired, just as inspired as you did when you watched Joaquin Phoenix at the
Yeah.
Oscars. And if you
great
haven't
piece of
watched that
activism.
speech, yeah, go watch it.
We'll link it in the description below. And of course, as always, a huge, huge thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. You guys are amazing. You support us. And if you are currently not a patron and you like what we do, you enjoy our content, you get something out of it, if you want to support us, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. We
Yes.
really appreciate it. And all of the money that we earn on Patreon goes directly towards helping animals.
Yes, so thank you so much for helping us help animals. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram if you're up for it. And Etsy, why not? And if you've ever purchased anything from our Etsy store and you haven't left a review yet, that also helps us out.
Please give this video the thumbs up if you like it. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, just so you'll be notified every time we put out a new video.
And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
You're worth it to me.